Back at Tampa Stadium, the winless Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a 6-point lead over the undefeated Los Angeles Rams. And of course now, John, the big question is, can these Buccaneers hold on for their first win of the year?
The 0-5 Buccaneers ahead of the 5-0 Rams. Question, you know, they were ahead against Chicago in those two games. They were very tight with Detroit. They wore down in the second half of those games and were beaten. So that is a major question. They're smaller, Jim. They're younger. They're inexperienced. And sometimes a team like that doesn't know how to pace themselves. Folks, we're going to find out.
And we'll find out as both teams have returned to the field. We'll be back with our second half kickoff in just a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chevrolet. It's 1986 at your Chevy dealers now. Live today's Chevy. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by GTE, we can do business with your business.
As we get ready to begin the second half, I'm Jim Hill along with John Dockery. Donald Igwebuike kicking off for the Buccaneers. Charles White and Lynn Kane back to receive. Igwebuike's kick is not a good one. It's Charlie White at the 7-yard line. White to the 19-yard line, or rather the 29-yard line. And, John, as we take a look at the first half stats, it's very obvious what's been the big difference.
A turnover graphic. 3 turnovers for the Rams. A couple of those led to scores for the Bucs. Only 1 for the Bucs. And you know what, Jim? As you look at the entire stat, total yards aren't that far apart. One you don't see is penalties. The problems, the Rams have had 8 penalties for 69 yards. The Bucs only 1 penalty for 5 yards. So turnovers and penalties, the story of the first half.
And going into this game, the Rams were the least penalized team in the league. But it has been just the opposite this afternoon. Peter Brock in at quarterback again for the Rams. Eric Dickerson in the backfield. Henry Ellard in motion. Draw play to Dickerson. Oh, he hit right at the 30-yard line by Jeff Davis. One of the problems that the Buccaneers have had is finishing off in the second half and playing extremely well. One of the people were telling us that they're like a runner running 400 meters. You jump out and run real strong for the first 300 meters, but you just don't have that finishing kick.
And that's a question that Lehman Bennett doesn't have the answer to. As you look at this, folks, how about this in the second half? 82-30, the Bucs have been outscored by the opponents. Do they run down? Have they trained too hard in the heat of Florida? We're going to find out.
Rock back to pass. Lobs it right over the middle to Dickerson. There's a flag on the play. Dickerson runs out of bounds at the 46-yard line, but there is a flag.
Jim, we mentioned it. Penalties and turnovers, the problems for the Rams in the first half. 8, this could be 9.
And it is.
Offense number 72, 10 yards, second down.
That against Kent Hill.
If you take a look at the right side of the screen, you'll see number 72, Kent Hill, at guard. Right there, he's working against number 90, Ron Holmes. And there, he's got him up by the face mask, and he's holding on to his jersey. You see that yellow stuff, folks, that's coming up? That is a handful of jersey in Kent Hill's hand. Handful of Ron Holmes' jersey.
9 penalties for 79 yards against the Rams. Second and 20 now. Ball at the Ram 20-yard line. Peter running around, getting away from David Logan, away from Cannon, throws, complete to Tony Hunter, but Hunter's tackled by David Greenwood.
They wanted to throw a screen pass to the left side, but the rookie, number 90, watch the right side of your screen, Ron Holmes, smells it, and he backs off. See him right there, 90, backing up, playing pass defense. That's all 6'4", 255. And then Brock scrambles around. Not a great scrambler. It never reminded anyone of Montana, but gets the pass off to Tony Hunter.
And from a physical standpoint, you wonder if a big man like Ron Holmes is going to wear down. Remember, Lehman Bennett told us he's gotten tired in the second half a couple of times. Barry Redden in the backfield now for the Rams, replacing Dickerson, giving Eric a rest. Early here in the third period. The draw play to Barry Redden. Redden, good running, good cutting. Over the 40, 35 to the 36-yard line. Tackle made by John Cannon.
It's a situation where you might say, well, why don't we run the ball? They're in a prevent defense, 4-man rushing. They got their extra defensive back in there. A run against this situation is a good call, though percentage-wise, it's going to be tough to get the first down, even though you might get a chunk of yards the way the Rams did right there.
And also from a defensive standpoint, you don't care if they run for 15 or 20 yards as long as it ends up short of the first down.
Exactly right, and that's what happened.
Leon Bright back to receive for the Buccaneers. Dale Hatcher punting for the Rams. Another good high booming kick. Bright, uncharacteristically, a fair catch at the 15-yard line. When's the last time we've seen that, John?
I think about 8 or 10 years ago, or in another lifetime. That man only had one fair catch in 5 years of playing football. Leon, what happened?
Really amazing.
Maybe the sun was in his eyes, or maybe he forgot who he was.
We have a good game today and some good games coming up next week. John, you and I will be in Kansas City to see these same Rams take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Also, the San Francisco 49ers against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and you got to figure that Kansas City and Bill Kenny are ready to break loose. Their offense has sputtered for the last couple of weeks, but they are due.
They're tied for first place in the AFC's Western Division, a four-way tie. First and 10 now for the Buccaneers at their 16-yard line. Here's Wilder. No one else is going to get the ball for them except Wilder. He's tackled by Doug Reed.
And now it's a question of the Buccaneers not going into their offensive shell. They must continue to play confident football, to mix the pass and to run, and throw the ball on first down the way they did much of the first half. DeBerg has to say, all right, I have a victory in my grasp if I can keep this team going.
It's like Jimmy Ray said yesterday, they go into games hoping to win instead of expecting to win. And that has been a big difference in their ball club this year. DeBerg throws to Wilder. Rams in a man-to-man coverage. Good open field tackle then by Mike Wiltshire. So the Rams are coming up in early down situations, second and third and first downs, coming up with a man-to-man defense, and that prevented Wilder from getting even more yards.
And Mike Wilshire's an interesting story. I mean, he's got all that great speed, the third man out of North Carolina, 4'8" and a 40, playing well for the injured, of course. So many years, George Andrews, the #1 draft choice back in '79, played on that spot, but second-round draft pick right there, 1983, playing well for the Rams.
And one of the things that the Buccaneers think that Wiltshire pursues a little bit too fast, and they have a special play in for him, which is a reverse, but now is not the time to use that. 6 defensive backs in now for the Rams. Hand off to Wilder. Good blocking up front, but drugged down from behind by Gary Jeter. Jeter coming from his right defensive end, pursuing, making the tackle.
And Jeter is a specialized player now. Of course, last year, terrible back problems on his back. Thought he'd never play again. Now he plays pursuit. Look at this from the backside. Jeter pulls down Wilder. And I remember talking to Jeter last year. He thought he'd never play the game again.
The doctors told him that he'd be lucky just to have a normal life. And we saw him in Pittsburgh last year, and he had tears in his eyes. He didn't think he was ever going to be able to play. But he's back.
He's reborn this year and playing well in special situations for the Rams.
Frank Garcia, low line drive kick. Here's Henry Ellard at the 26-yard line. Ellard with a burst of speed and almost breaks it. Ellard gets the ball into Tampa Bay territory. The Bucs have a 6-point lead. We'll be back. You know, John, despite an 0-5 year, Lehman Bennett has really kept everything in its total perspective.
He really has. He's kept a sense of humor, and also he does some things to get away from it all. Remember when we were in his office yesterday, the shotgun was on the couch, and he was saying, you know, I'm going out to do a little hunting where there are no phones and where people can't find me about trades and other problems, or talk to me about Hugh Green going to Miami.
Did a little dove hunting yesterday. This afternoon, doing a little ram hunting. And there's David Logan again. The 5th sack of the afternoon against Dieter Brock.
I was just about to say that. You know, we mentioned penalties and turnovers in the first half as being a problem. Well, also sacks. Right now, David Logan beats the center, Doug Smith, and Brock has no chance. Look at that. Kent Hill can't get him. Smith can't get him. And Logan is having one heck of an afternoon. And that is on a defensive line where Leroy Selman is gone, and his buddy Hugh Green is no longer a force.
But once again, remember at the top, you know, when you lose valuable people like that, sometimes the rest of the squad will really gather around and rally and do a good job. The Buccaneers are doing it. Brock going back to pass, throws. Complete to Henry Ellard. Jeremiah Castile defending for the Buccaneers.
I have to talk to Jeremiah a little bit later on, because he's given Ellard so much room. That is just an automatic out. All Ellard is doing is going down and saying, here I am in a park. I'll just go out. Castillo will keep backing up, and I'll make a completion. I'll get a completion from Brock. That's a given.
Ellard now has 6 receptions for 62 yards. We have 9 minutes and 43 seconds left to go in the third period. Tampa has a 20-14 lead over Los Angeles. 6 defensive backs in now for the Buccaneers. Dickerson in the backfield for the Rams. And Brock is thrown for another loss. Carl Morgan this time. The 6th quarterback sack of the afternoon for the Buccaneers.
Carl Morgan. I mean, have you heard of Carl Morgan? He was added to this roster after a year in the CFL last year. Second-year man at UCLA. See him on the left. He beats his man right now. Brock is having no time at all. He beat Tony Slayton, who's in there, subbing for Harrah.
And the Buccaneers defense gets a standing ovation on Orange Day here in Tampa Stadium. Dale Hatcher, who has had a pretty good afternoon of punting. Another high booming kick. Leon Bright lets the ball go. Hits at the 9-yard line. The Rams down it, but it gets into the end zone. The ball gets into the end zone. The Rams are going to be furious. Norwood Van is claiming and screaming and jumping up and down. He downed the ball just at the goal line.
Ben Dreif and his crew do not want to hear any of this after last week's game at Cincinnati Jets. Norwood Van is hot, but Tampa Bay leads 20-14. We'll be right back, folks.
John, Norwood Van did his little dance out on the field, but actually Norwood Van wasn't the one that caused the ball to be called a touchback.
It really wasn't. It looked like Sean Miller was in contact with the ball, but while he was in contact with the ball, his foot was in contact with the end zone. We're trying to take a look at it after this play.
The Buccaneers with the ball 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. Play action pass by the Buccaneers. And DeBerg is thrown for his first sack of the afternoon. Mel Owens blitzing from his outside linebacking position. Now, John, we'll get a chance to see if Sean Miller's foot is on the goal line.
Take a look at the man on the top. Sean Miller right there is on top. And watch his left foot. See his left foot hit the line, and the ball is in contact with him. If that's the case, then it comes out to the 20, and that's how the officials saw it.
So the field judge then was Dick Dolak who made the call, and
Norwood didn't like that. Norwood Van didn't, but
he thinks it was called on him, but actually it was on Sean Miller. That's a good call.
What a dance he did, though. Yeah. Disco Van.
But it is the Buccaneers who have been singing the sweet tune so far. Hand off to Wilder. Wilder to the 11-yard line. Sean Miller in on the tackle. Fans here really thought that the Buccaneers should be putting the ball up in the air a little bit more now. They've seen him throw. They've seen DeBerg throw from his own end zone a couple of times.
You see some new people coming in for the Rams. You see those new characters coming in, 4 or 5 of them. One of the things the Rams are doing more of this year, Jim, is getting people involved, using their special talents for pass rush, like Dennis Harrison, number 68 there, the guy they got from Philadelphia.
And in this particular situation, they are expecting a pass, so they have 6 defensive backs in. That's why they have fresh new people in now.
The 6-pack defense.
Here's DeBerg. Pressure's on by Jeter. DeBerg gets away, throws downfield. In and out of the arms of Johnny Johnson.
Boy, DeBerg did well to get that ball off. Johnny Johnson almost had an interception. The pressure was on. We mentioned the freshmen coming in. You mentioned the 4-man rush. Jeter was in his face. He finally got rid of it.
So the Rams hold the Buccaneers as Frank Garcia comes in to punt, and Henry Ellard is back deep now for the Rams. His longest return of the afternoon, you saw 28 yards. 7 minutes and 58 seconds left to go in the third period. The Rams looking to get good field position out of this punt. A high punt. And Ellard will have a chance. He's at the 44-yard line. Henry Ellard, he loses the ball but falls on it and recovers. He was just getting ready to dance and try and get down the far sideline and pick up some extra yardage, but couldn't make it.
You know, the good punt return men are able to go outside or else duck inside the way Ellard does. See him duck inside the containment and then take it outside. Here he just drops the ball. Watch him. Right there on a big cut. and then has to go back and get it. We'll say, wait a minute, I need this luggage in order to make this play. Take a look at it again. He cuts back inside, and then he's trying to go outside, and the ball is just comes out of his arms. Finally recovers it.
A 45-yard punt and an 11-yard return. Barry Redden joins Dickerson in the backfield. Whether that's Lynn Kane. And here's Dickerson behind Kane. But nowhere for him to run as Jeff Davis comes up with another brilliant defensive effort.
You know, Jim, the Rams offense has to do something if they're going to win this game. They've done nothing all year, all week long, all day long. The Rams defense has held, and they've been putting the Bucs in bad field position. Take a look at it right here. They are in good field position, but they haven't been able to do it. And take a look at it. They've held Dickerson to 67 yards. Wilder's not having a great day either, only 37 yards. But Dick, if you keep hitting and hitting, is liable to break.
But all the Buccaneers really care about is the score. They have a 6-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the third period. Brock with plenty of time, throwing for Duckworth, and he has it at the 20-yard line. Bobby Duckworth knocked out of bounds at the 19 by Ivory Sully.
But you can only give a good team, what I'm trying to say, so many chances. And the Buck defense has been playing possibly over their head. This time, John Holt just gives Duckworth, bottom of your screen. See Holt? He eventually gets turned right here and playing the inside, and see him running downfield. The ball is actually not that well thrown, but Holt was so far off, Duckworth was able to make the catch.
Duckworth has 4 receptions for 64 yards, 1 touchdown pass. That one good for 26 yards. Lynn Kane remains in the backfield now with Dickerson. And Eric gets the ball. Eric to the 16-yard line. David Logan makes the tackle for the Buccaneers. Here are a couple of scores. Wow. Philadelphia really big over St. Louis, 23-0. Oh my, really shutting down Roy Green, and that's tough. Hey, John, look here. They're starting to come back.
Well, the Giants were shocked losing to Dallas on that fumble last week. Maybe they're getting themselves together as they're coming back against Cincinnati.
The Giants scored on a fake field goal, and that's why they trail now 21-17. But here the Bucs lead the Rams 20-14. 2nd and 8. Ball at the 17 of Tampa. Brock back to pass. Has time, throws, complete to Dickerson. Dickerson hit at the 10-yard line. Scott Brantley making the tackle for Tampa.
And this is just a safe play, hitting Dick out of the backfield. See, he sets up to block, no one's coming, and then he's just a safety valve. Brock was looking for his wide receivers, didn't find him, so hey, let me flip it to Dick and see what he can do running the ball, and it wasn't much. Bucs are everywhere.
Brock then was looking for Duckworth again, who was covered that time very well by John Holt. But it is 3rd and 1. Ball at the 10-yard line. The toss back to Dickerson. Holds his way to the 10, just inside the 10-yard line, and I don't think he made it.
I was just about to say that giving it to Dickerson is almost a guarantee, but it is close. I don't think he made it. He's about half a yard short.
No, he didn't. Mike Lansford is coming on the field to attempt a field goal now. And what a psychological advantage this is for Tampa, holding the explosive Rams and not letting them pick up enough yardage for the first down, especially when you have their best back carrying the ball.
And this is a defense that is not exactly one of your tops in the NFL. They're ranked 21st in the league.
Ball will be spotted at the 17. This will be a 27-yard field goal attempt by Lansford. And Lansford's 27-yard field goal is good. 4:33 left to go in the third period. The Buccaneers 20, the Rams 17. Mike Lansford all set to kick off now for the Rams after his 27-yard field goal. Rams still down 20-17. Leon Bright and Phil Freeman back to receive for the Buccaneers. This is Freeman at the 9-yard line. Freeman gives the Buccaneers good field position at the 30-yard line. Tackle that made by Norwood Ben. Now the question, John, what in the world will the Buccaneers do now?
don't go into their shell. That's what I'd tell Steve DeBerg if I were talking to him.
Okay, following the conclusion of this game, it'll be a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. The Bears going against the 49ers or Atlanta and Seattle.
You talk about offensive weapons. I mean, for the Bears, Walter Payton on the ground, Willie Gault, Dennis McKinnon through the air. And how about the Niners? Roger Craig, #1 in the NFC in TDs.
Except for you fans in Los Angeles, you will not see that game because the Raiders are playing the New Orleans Saints. First and 10 on the 30-yard line. DeBerg not going in his shell, going to the pass. Intended for Gerald Carter, incomplete. All right, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for this NFL Today update.
Jim, it's a day for the fake field goal. The Bengals up by 11. They make a fatal error here, and Jeff Rutledge rolls options out to Jess Atkinson. Touchdown for the Giants. Jimmy, the Bengals just tried a fake punt and missed it, and the Giants are threatening again. Back to you and John.
Okay, Brent, thank you very much. And we also saw a fake field goal here by the Buccaneers with Alan Risher trying to and running down to the 2-yard line.
Exactly. We had one here, and that set up the first touchdown for the Bucs. So it's a wild day in the NFL. Razzle dazzle.
Need to shake it up just a little bit. And that's what the Buccaneers have done. They've shaken up the Rams this afternoon. DeBerg. Intercepted. This is Carl Eckert, and he will score. The Buccaneers did not go into their shell, John, but it was a bad pass. It ended up blowing up in their face.
The problem with the pass was he was throwing to Jerry Bell, who is the best zone receiver, and watch Eckert. He just reads it well, and watch the reaction right there. He's running because DeBerg is looking, picks it off, and takes it in, and the defense does it again for the Rams.
Remember, DeBerg told us yesterday that the Rams do as good a job as anybody in the league in reading patterns, and that's exactly what Eckert did then. He saw someone go out, so he expected a turn-in pattern, and that's what he got. He charged that turn-in pattern, picked it off for a score. 33 yards. Mike Lansford in to attempt the extra point conversion. And it is good. So once again, the Ram defense comes to the rescue. 33-yard touchdown on an interception returned by Carl Eckert. Now the Rams have a 24-20 lead over the Buccaneers.
One of the things you have to do as a quarterback in this situation is you just had something terrible happen to you. You have to get your offense together and say, okay, boys, we've been hot. We were ahead of these guys. Now we trail by 4. Let's get our offensive team together and do what we've been doing all afternoon. Let's establish a ground game with Wilder again, and let's find those holes and pick up some yards and get a good drive to get their momentum back, because the air is out of the balloon right now for the Bucs. And DeBerg is the guy who can put it back. He's the guy who took it out. He has to be the guy to put it back.
One of the things that I'm sure is going through some of the minds of the Tampa fans is, oh, no, here we go again.
Again.
Oh, wow. We've seen this so many times before. But, as you mentioned, the Buccaneers have an opportunity to really do something about that.
And you're talking recent history for these Buck fans. I mean, last week they were enjoying a nice, comfortable lead over the Chicago Bears at the half. Bingo, they lost that game. Same thing here this afternoon.
So Lansford's set to kick off. Bryden Hill Freeman at the goal line for Tampa Bay. 4 minutes and 11 seconds left to go in the third quarter. This is Freeman at the 7-yard line. Finds a hole. Phil Freeman. Knocked out of bounds by Nolan Cromwell.
There's someone else who can put the air back in the balloon, and that's a big play on a return team. That's what Freeman does. An 8th-round draft choice out of Arizona. Take a look at this move here. Breaks to the outside right there after setting up his blocks. Shows some speed. Had Nolan Cromwell not dove on him, knocked him out of bounds, that could have been a long touchdown.
Well, it was a long return as it was, John. 43 yards. Puts the ball at the 49-yard line of the Rams. Fans are booing. Booing as DeBerg comes back onto the field. The toss back to Wilder. First contact is made by Mike Wilcher. Then Mel Owens comes over and finishes him off.
I don't know why they'd be booing DeBerg. He's had a good afternoon. He played very well most of this season. I mean, they expect miracles. I mean, this is the man they're probably thinking about down the road. Steve Young, of course, the $6 million man sitting on the bench.
Well, we all know that the second-string quarterback is always the most popular guy in town until he goes into the game and throws interception. But we know of Young. You and I both know, Steve, as a result of him playing with the Express in the USFL out in Los Angeles. I really feel that with a week's work of hard work, he could be ready to play. He told us yesterday he's anxious. See him pacing up and down the sidelines. But instead it's DeBerg. He's going deep. Intended for Kevin House. House defended there by Gary Green.
A little jostling going on down there, but you talk about DeBerg being, it's inevitable that Steve Young will be the quarterback sooner or later here. But watch the jostling. House hits Green. Green then recovers, comes back, and just hits House as he's going to catch that ball. So it's the old give and take.
You know, John Robinson told us yesterday that for a defensive back, now it's like with a new rule that's in, it's much like rebounding now in the sport of basketball as opposed to going up and blocking a shot. And Gary Green has great athletic ability and is one of the best cover backs in the league.
Look at this, third down conversions having problems.
And 7 yards to go. DeBerg looking for the first down. Throws. Intended for Theo Bell. Incomplete.
And Theo Bell had Eric Harris turned around and room to catch that ball had it been thrown well. Just wasn't.
So all of a sudden, the question that we posed at the beginning of the second half, John, is can the Bucs hold on and win? Right now we're seeing it's like role reversal. The miscues that the Rams made in the first half, the Buccaneers have started to make here in the second half.
Exactly right. Those two miscues, two fumbles led to touchdowns for the Bucs in the first half by the Rams, and it's reversed in the second half.
Frank Garcia, Henry Ellard, and Johnny Johnson back. Good high punt by Garcia. Into the end zone. Missed the corner. The Rams will have it 1st and 10 with a 4-point lead. One of the reasons the Rams have had problems in their offensive line has been the absence of the man with his back to you with a deep 5 bruise, Dennis Hara, one of their triple captains.
The man they call Hercules, 9-year veteran. He's a guy that's a leader, and certainly the Rams have that. They're not worried about the leadership role on that offensive team with guys like Hara and your brother David Hill and some of the other players. Whereas Tampa is worried about that particular part of their team.
They certainly are, but the Buccaneers this afternoon have come up with a very good performance. But here come the Rams. Play action. Brock throws, and it's intercepted. Keith Browner. Browner loses the ball. It's kicked into and out of the end zone. Keith Browner made the interception. He lost the ball. It was kicked into and out of the end zone.
Question I have was, did he hit the ground and then I'm going to spot the ball, or did he fumble before he hit the ground? Ben Dreif will have to let us know.
And this is the second straight week that Ben Dreif has been involved in a very controversial call.
That was a fumble out of the end zone. That's a touchback. Touchback.
After 26 years of experience, that's why they're there. Keith Browner intercepted the pass, fumbled the ball, which was kicked out of the end zone, and that made it a touchback.
Take a look at it again here. The play action fake to Dickerson. Brock, only 6 feet tall. This ball is tipped, and then Browner makes the reception. Of course, he's starting because Hugh Green is gone, but watch him right here as he's running. He's hit from behind, right there, coughs up the ball, and it goes out of the end zone. Oh, my. What a break for the Rams. You talk about dodging a bullet that's headed for the point right between your eyes. That would have been a big lift for the Bucs.
Oh, my goodness. The Buccaneers now have buzzard's luck. They can't get anything to go their way in the second half. Here's Eric Dickerson. Flag on the play as Dickerson gets to the 22-yard line. Ron Holmes comes in and makes the tackle.
That's a play that can turn the complexion of a game around. All of a sudden, you get a big lift from your defense, a shot for a touchdown, you cough it up, and the other team gets the ball back. Much like that controversial play last week.
Now, here's something. Eric Dickerson is down.
Oh, my. The guts of the Ram offense.
It is almost impossible to tell what the injury is from here, but you can be assured that John Robinson's heart is in his throat right now, as well as all the other Los Angeles Rams fans. And Robinson has always had that very special relationship with his running back. And for the Rams to lose Dickerson, you're not going to say it's fatal, but it is, oh, so tough.
Well, you remember what Robinson said as you see him kneeling down there talking to Dickerson, and they're rolling him over. I mean, he made the commitment to make Dickerson the offense a few years ago.
It looks like they're looking, that's Dr. Clarence Shields. He's looking at Dickerson's left knee. Dr. Clarence Shields, one of the fine orthopedic surgeons from the Los Angeles area. You see him looking at Dickerson's left knee.
What a tragedy this would be, not only for the Rams, but also for the game of football.
Offense holding the left end. They're going to take the penalty. It'll be first down and 10 yards.
Dickerson, since ending his holdout, has come up with a couple of injuries, a hamstring pull, a fractured bone in his left hand. You see the pad there on his left hand. And he's getting up, and it appears as though there is not a lot of damage that has been done. And like you said, John, not only good for the Rams to see him walk off, but good for the game of football. Keith Browner gives him a pat on the back.
No one runs the ball any better than this man. He's so smooth, so beautiful to watch. It's like watching a Picasso paint. I mean, he is just a magnificent. Take a look at the right side of your screen, the very top right-hand corner of your screen. And we'll play it very slowly and see if we can figure out what happened. There's Dickerson spinning. You see his left knee get caught underneath him, and maybe that's where it happened to strain. And then he's hit on that left knee. Fortunately, it came up out of the grass turf, or he might have really hurt himself.
The knee's not meant to bend that way. There's a handoff to Barry Redden. Redden dumped behind the line of scrimmage by Ron Holmes. As Dickerson leaves the field, 19 carries for 70 yards on the afternoon. A loss of 3 yards on the play. And you can just imagine the concern that's going on right now on the Ram bench.
The man who carried him to the playoffs last year with 2,105 yards.
Lynn Kane is in the backfield now with Barry Redden. 2nd and 23. Buccaneer defense really looking to let it all hang out here and give their offense great field position. The draw play. This is Barry Redden. Good moves by Barry. Up to the 23-yard line. Tackled by Jeff Davis.
And Barry Redden made a good run there, but Lynn Kane made the block. As we look at Dickerson along the sideline, they're still looking at that left knee, Jim.
Pickup of 15 yards. Still way short of the first down. As they let Dickerson walk around, try and walk it off. That's an excellent sign. And the first thing that comes to your mind now is maybe it is a hyperextension.
Possibly a strain, because if you have serious ligament damage, seldom do you see a player able to jog and run.
Or even any kind of cartilage damage. 56 seconds left to go in the third period. 3rd and 8. Block the pass. Throws. It is out of bounds, incomplete, intended for Mike Young.
Mike Young didn't give himself enough room along the sidelines to run that out pattern. Even with a great gun like Brock, he can't get it there soon enough. And watch, see, he has no room along there, so when he comes down, he's out of bounds.
Dickerson still trying to walk it off. And knowing the great competitor that he is, he wants to try and come back into the ball game. But you can be sure that the medical team of the Rams will not let him back in until they are absolutely positive. Dale Hatcher, who's had a fine afternoon of punting. Another good high, long punt. This is Leon Bright again. Bright still on his feet. Tackled by Carl Eckern at the 43-yard line. Leon Bright giving the Bucs good field position. 53-yard punt, a 19-yard return.
And this is just all Bright. See him break a tackle right there. He pulls his foot out. And this was important because the Bucs need that lift to get good field position.
24-20. The Rams over the Buccaneers. Coming up, second half of our doubleheader. The Bears against the 49ers or Atlanta against Seattle. Except you fans in Los Angeles, you will not see the game because the Raiders are in the Coliseum playing the New Orleans Saints. Here's DeBerg going back to pass. And it is complete. A pass complete to Jerry Bell. Rams have a 4-point lead here. It is Minnesota and Green Bay tied at 14 in the third period. Cleveland over Houston 14-6. Philadelphia big over St. Louis 30-0. That's a real surprise. Dallas leading Pittsburgh 20-3. And it is Cincinnati over the Giants 28-20. We're told from the Ram bench that Dickerson will rest for the next offensive series, and then they will take it from there. Oh, good tackle by Jim Collins. Jim Collins coming up, making the tackle on James Wilder. Dickerson, you see him cleaning off his goggles. You know what that means? He wants to come back.
Well, Dickerson is not the kind of guy who likes to sit down as we get near the end of the third quarter. He wants to be part of that offense, make them 6-0.
It does not look like there will be a play to run off. That's the end of the third quarter. The Rams over Tampa, 24-20.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota, who offers a full line of 1986 cars and trucks to satisfy the most demanding owner. Who could ask for anything more? And by Sony Super Beta, the VCR that gives you a picture 20% sharper than VHS.
As we begin the fourth period, I'm Jim Hill along with John Dockery. The Rams have a 24-20 lead over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ball at the 48-yard line, 3rd and 5 for Tampa. And DeBerg's going back to pass. The blitz is on. Plenty of time. Going deep. Complete to Theo Bell. Bell tackled by Johnny Johnson and Leroy Irvin.
And Theo Bell did well to hold that ball. DeBerg did have enough time. And DeBerg drills the ball to a little behind Bell, and Bell goes up and makes a good catch in front of the defenders. But watch after he catches the ball. They try to rip it away from him. See Leroy Irvin there trying to rip it out of his arms, but Bell holds on for an important first down to begin this fourth quarter.
Theo Bell's reception good for 26 yards. It gives the Buccaneers a first down at the Ram 28-yard line. The Buccaneers, who have yet to win a ball game this year, looking for their first and hanging close after having the lead. The fake, the throw, complete. That's Jerry Bell. Steve DeBerg with a little razzle-dazzle, and as he told us yesterday, a little play-action pass is really going to free up some of his fine wide receivers.
A quick mind is important to be a quarterback. Right here, he has a defender right in his face and flips it off right away quickly. He had Wilshire in his face, gets it off to Bell for the first down. And that was just quick thinking by DeBerg, quick reaction by the veteran.
Theo Bell, Jerry Bell, he's such a big individual, 6'5", 230 pounds. Kind of difficult to miss a big, fast target like that. 13 yards on the play. 1st and 10 for Tampa. Ball at the 15-yard line. A handoff to Wilder. Wilder's still on his feet. Goes back to the inside, and that's where he finds trouble. Trouble coming in the name of Mel Owens and Reggie Doss, number 71 for the Rams.
And that was just a perfect example of the one-back offense. 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, power football. And what the Bucs are saying is that we have the runner in James Wilder and the blockers in Giles and Bell to move you and move that ball down near the goal line.
Wilder's so far this afternoon, 20 carries for 41 yards. And you think about someone like a Jerry Bell, as big as he is, you would think that maybe they would try to go to him a little bit more. I know you certainly like him.
I do. And Giles is also a good receiver.
2nd and 8. Berg looking, throwing into the end zone. 6, Derek Carter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have regained the lead on a 13-yard touchdown pass from Steve DeBerg to Jerry Carter.
And if you think DeBerg doesn't have touch, watch this. Throws it just over the top. Nolan Cromwell jumps, but so does Carter, and comes down with plenty of room in the corner of the end zone. That is just a perfect throw.
Igwebuike in now for the extra point conversion. And the Buccaneers, with 13 minutes and 13 seconds left to go in the fourth period, looking for their first win of the year. The Buccaneers regained the lead, going 57 yards in 6 plays using 2 minutes and 21 seconds on the clock. The capper, a 13-yard touchdown pass from Steve DeBerg to Gerald Carter. And the Buccaneers lead it by 3, 27-24. The fans really getting into it now. On Orange Day, most of the fans here wearing the color orange are waving some 30,000 free orange pom-poms that were passed out this afternoon, hoping the Buccaneers can get their first win of the year. Charles White, 1 yard inside the end zone. White still on his feet. White to the 33-yard line, and Eric Dickerson is returning. You remember on the Rams' last series of downs, Dickerson went out after getting his knee twisted. But he is now returning. This telecast is being presented by the authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the National Football League is prohibited. The Buccaneer defense, small, young, maybe inexperienced, really getting rooted on by their fans. A handoff to Dickerson. Dickerson just across the 30-yard line before Chris Washington makes the tackle.
What an inspirational performance by the Bucs defense, and that's without Leroy Selman out for the year and Hugh Green, who was traded to Miami this week. This defense has sacked Dieter Brock 6 times, and that's been one of the differences in this game. They're just overpowering the offensive line of the Rams.
A pickup of only 1 yard on the play. It is 2nd and 9 at the 30-yard line, with the Rams trailing by 3. Brock back to pass. Throws. Intended for Tony Hunter, and it is short. Incomplete.
Kevin House along the Tampa bench, enjoying an afternoon, trying to knock off an undefeated team, something they almost did last week against Chicago. And you know what? If this game goes the way it's going now, there will be only one undefeated team, the Chicago Bears. Of course, they have a tough one coming up here on CBS next against San Francisco.
You know, it is really, it's really amazing for a team to be 0-5 and have a crowd behind them like this. 3 wide receivers in now for the Rams. Here's Brock back to pass. He has time, but he better hurry. Don Fielder.
Jimmy, Dieter Brock told us yesterday he was not having trouble reading defenses here in the NFL after 11 years in this CFL. But he is having trouble. He has plenty of time to throw this ball. But the Bucs are in his zone defense across the field. He can't find anybody, and eventually, bingo, he's sacked.
You saw right there, he had a chance. It looked like Mike Young was open across the middle of the field. But Dale Hatcher, who's really helped this afternoon for the Rams, does not get off one of his long, high punts. Ball bounces at the 36 and takes a Los Angeles roll. And the ball stops dead at the 25-yard line. And that's where the Buccaneers will take over 1st and 10. We have 11 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the ball game. Now, tonight on CBS, a great lineup for you. 60 Minutes, Murder, She Wrote, Crazy Like a Fox, and Trapper John, M.D. That's tonight right here on CBS. And remember when DeBerg was booed a couple of series ago when he went out on the field after throwing an interception that was returned for a touchdown? Now he's being cheered.
He's a fickle fan as they work on Dieter Brock along the sidelines, trying to stretch him out. I wonder if he did pull something.
But what the Buccaneers are trying to do is pull off their first win of the year. They have a 3-point lead. 11 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the game. Wilder, first contact made by Mike Wilcher. Reggie Doss also in on the tackle for Los Angeles.
And as you saw Dieter Brock along the sidelines, if he should not be able to play for the Rams at quarterback, it will be either Steve Dills or Jeff Kemp. And Robinson said, what? I like Steve Dills as my short reliever. If Brock were gone for the season, it would probably be Jeff Kemp.
Because of the success that Kemp had, and he did have a great deal of success last year. And another thing, when you look at Brock, he's tired. He's got to be tired. It's a very, very hot day, and you want your quarterback to be crisp and sharp. And he has really been running around for his life back there this afternoon, being sacked 7 times. Here's DeBerg, play action pass, throw it, complete to Jimmy Giles. Jim Collins and Nolan Cromwell in, but Jimmy Giles told us yesterday he expected a big afternoon.
That's the Jimmy Giles of old. See the play-action fake, and then he just finds that seam in the zone. Look at that catch. Fingertip control, Jimmy Giles. Oh, DeBerg, the play-action fake helps out right there. It holds the linebackers, and then Giles just, look at that, up on the fingertips, yanks it out of the air for an important completion. Woo.
That play good for 20 yards. Giles has 3 receptions for 48 yards this afternoon. And the Buccaneers, who some say have run out of gas in the second half of 5 games, are running pretty strong right now. The blitz is on. DeBerg has a lot of time. He throws deep. Off the shoulder of Kevin House with Leroy Irvin covering.
Kevin is not happy because Leroy Irving and Kevin House were bumping each other going down the sidelines. Take a look at it again right here. Okay, there's the first bump. And then Irvin's going down. Somehow, he gets a hand up. He stumbles, and he gets a hand back, and he was, Jim, as you saw, looking back at the ball, and that's the new rule this year. If you're desperate, look back at the ball, and there will be no foul call.
I would imagine that out on the West Coast, the 49ers are saying to themselves, they're probably wearing orange out there themselves this afternoon, hoping that the Buccaneers can hang on. And you folks will be able to see the Chicago Bears, the 49ers, Atlanta, and Seattle coming up next, except in Los Angeles, where the Los Angeles Raiders are taking on the New Orleans Saints in the Coliseum. 10:15 left to go in the 4th period. Here's Wilder. James Wilder to just about midfield. Wonder what's going through Jeff Kemp's mind right now.
He's probably saying, well, you know, I know Brock's tired, but, you know, will I get a chance to go in? Hard to say. I think it'd be Dills. If there were a quarterback to come in, I think it would be Dills, who's on the sideline right there. There's Brock. Just gave him the hat, maybe to keep him cool. Say, hey, I don't need this. I'm not playing.
Well, it's amazing. The three quarterbacks for the Rams have a great relationship. They all try to help each other, and they all know who the #1 quarterback is, and they know their role. And that's the thing that John Robinson is trying to establish, and he has established, for the players to know their role. But the Buccaneers know their role, and they're on a roll right now. Inside handoff to Wilder. Wilder up the middle. Nolan Cromwell making the tackle for Los Angeles, and the fans here really don't like this. They want to see him put the ball in the air again.
Maybe he should have, Jim.
As we check the scoreboard, Denver over Indianapolis 15-3 in the final period. It is New England over Buffalo by 14-3. Green Bay leading Minnesota 17-14. Cleveland over Houston 21-6 in the final period. And Dallas over Pittsburgh. The Steelers coming back. Dallas leading 20-13. Cincinnati 35-20 over the Giants. John.
Oh, what can I say? Got to rub it in a little bit.
No. Frank Garcia gets a low snap from center, but handles it well. Angles to the near sideline. Johnny Johnson lets it go by, and the ball goes out of bounds, and it will be marked at the 9-yard line, and that's where it'll be taken over 1st and 10 when we return. You know, John, here is a point now where you really find out what your quarterback is made of.
And Robinson said he likes Brock so much because of his competitive attitude. He's tough, courageous, and competitive. We'll find out right now.
8:40 left to go in the ball game. The toss to Dickerson. The fine nose tackle, David Logan, hustling over to make first contact, and then Irvin Randall finishes him off. You know, when you talk about Dieter Brock, John Robinson made a very interesting analogy. He says, you know, he reminds me a little bit of Kenny Stabler. And he says he also has the attitude of a linebacker. That is, attack. Don't sit back. He wants to go out and be aggressive.
And yes, exactly. He likes that idea. You get a competitive player, a tough guy like a Theismann. He also said you get by the great talents like the Montanas and Marinos. After that, you want the tough guy at quarterback who can pull it out when you have to.
Mike Young from UCLA is in at one wide receiver. Hand off to Dickerson. Picks up maybe 2 yards at the most before Irvin Randall comes in and makes the tackle along with Scott Brantley.
You also remember, as we watched the replay from the ground level, and this is good hitting by the Bucs, Robinson talking about Dieter Brock. Remember what he said? He said, I hope that he becomes like a Bart Starr or a Bob Greasy type. Can make the play when we have to, not necessarily dominate a game.
For the first time this afternoon, the Olympic gold medalist Ron Brown is in, along with Mike Young and Henry Eller, 3 wide receivers for the Rams, who trail the Buccaneers 27-24 with 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the ball game. Rocks the pass, throws, complete to Tony Hunter. The ball pops loose, but the pass was ruled incomplete. David Greenwood coming up, really getting a good pop in on Hunter.
Oh, he certainly did. And remember, he has to have the ball in 2 feet clearly on the ground. He catches the ball, but before he had total control, Greenwood with the pop, the ball comes loose, and the Bucs have held again.
Another standing ovation for the Tampa defense. And Dale Hatcher, who has really done his share to keep the Rams in this ball game, in to attempt another punt. That's Leon Bright, taking a couple deep breaths. He said, oh, I just want to get my hands on this. Look at those deep breaths. He's ready.
Let me loosen myself up, get those hips ready to make a run back.
Good high punt by Hatcher. Fair catch call. Gets away from him and takes a Los Angeles roll. That's Jerry Gray. My.
Oh.
And it rolls dead at the 16-yard line.
Maybe that little motion before back there by Bright was a sign of nervousness, because he should have caught that on a fair catch. Cost him an extra 20 yards, Jim.
The punt was good for 67 yards, and you wonder why. You also wonder if he lost it in the lights, in the sun here. But if you look at the shadows on the field, you may wonder that he might have lost it in the sun. Steve DeBerg coming back in with 6 minutes and 56 seconds left to go.
Not exactly awesome statistically, but he's kept the team in the game. 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions also.
Plus hitting some very, very big passes. Oh, he's hitting in crucial parts of the ball game. Hand off to Wilder. Greg Meisner making first contact for the Rams.
You hear the booing in the background. I would say beware, Steve DeBerg. You better get the ball upfield, make some first downs, keep it away from the Ram offense, because sooner or later that offense is going to make something happen. But once again, it's the Ram defense put on the spot. They have to shut down DeBerg and the Bucs here with 6.5 minutes left, right? Down by 3.
Really hasn't been the contest that we expected of running backs. Dickerson 80 yards, Wilder with only 49 yards. But the Buccaneers really don't care. All they want is to get a win. Here's the pass the fans were looking for, but it's incomplete. Good defense by Jim Collins. Pass was intended for Jimmy Giles.
And that's a question of a quarterback looking at a receiver and deciding long before the ball is snapped where he's going, because on the other side of the field, only about 7-8 yards away, was a wide open James Wilder, about the same depth as Giles as Wilder came out of the backfield. So DeBerg just picked the wrong man.
With the incompletion, it's 3rd and 10.
Look at this, Jim.
Yes.
2 of 13 on 3rd down.
Theo Bell checks in now for the Buccaneers. They have 3 wide receivers. The Rams with 6 defensive backs. Plenty of time. Throws. Intercepted by Leroy Irvin. Irvin at the 20. He has a good chance to score, and he does. Once again, the defensive unit for the Rams comes through.
as they've been doing all season long. DeBerg only moments ago threw a perfect pass to Carter for a touchdown in the end zone. This time, Jim, he overthrows. I don't know if he didn't read the Rams zone, but that's what they were in. And he just overthrows Carter. Watch the ball get up over Carter's head, and Irvin's right there for the interception, runs it back into the end zone. And also down there, you saw Theo Bell behind Carter. Hard to tell who he was throwing to with two receivers in that zone.
And one of the things that DeBerg was so conscious of has really come back to haunt him. He told us yesterday that the Rams have really perfected their zone defense and that they read the zone as well as anyone in the league.
See the ball up there, exactly right. And this is the 4th time this season that he's been intercepted and had it returned for a touchdown. So it's been costly all season long for the Bucs when DeBerg throws the interception.
So Leroy Irvin makes the interception and returns it for a touchdown. That's Sean Miller, who started the game this afternoon at the nose tackle position.
You know, as we look at Miller on the ground, the problems for the Bucs all year long have been giveaways. Coming into this game, they had thrown 9 interceptions. They fumbled 12 times, losing 8 for a total of 17 giveaways. Again, turnovers come back to haunt Lehman Bennett and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, but of course, there's time left in this game, Jim.
You know, it really is. There's more than enough time. Score now 30-27. But Jimmy Ray brought up another interesting point, as well as Lehman Bennett. He said that this ball club in this area for so long has really accepted mediocrity. He says that, you know, like last week against the Chicago Bears, the fans were in the area were happy because they were patting the players on the back saying, you almost won. You almost did it. And so they have accepted that, and what they have to do is to forget about that mediocrity and go on and get these victories. Mike Lansford in to attempt the extra point conversion. And it's good. So with the interception return for a touchdown by Leroy Irvin, the Rams have a 31-27 lead. 31-27. You know, John, it was turnovers that really hurt the Rams in the first half. As we look at the graphics here now, turnovers have hurt the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the second.
They certainly have. They've led to a couple of touchdowns, as you see. And DeBerg has thrown 2 interceptions, one to Collins and one to Leroy Irvin, and they've been run back for touchdowns. So it's not so much that it's been DeBerg really having problems there. He's played well other than those 2 plays, but you know, this game is not over. It's 31-27, 6 minutes left in the game. So we'll see if DeBerg can bounce back from another tough play.
And he's going to get a chance immediately now as Mike Lansford is all set to kick off. But one can't help but wonder, will the Buccaneers fold under the pressure again? They've played good football for 3 quarters in just about all of their games, and they just kind of fizzled out in the 4th quarter. They've been hanging on here, but now we're going to get a chance to find out.
It happened last week against the Bears. Let's see if it happens here again against the Rams.
Lansford, low line drive, bouncing kick. Phil Freeman picks the ball up at the 11-yard line. Freeman still on his feet. Jerry Gray finally makes a tackle at the 41-yard line, and the Buccaneers have good field position.
I'll tell you one man that refuses to fold up, and that's Phil Freeman and that kickoff return team against the Rams. Take a look at him right here. Bobbles the ball, picks it up, and watch how he sets up his blockers. Boy, is he nifty. And then makes a good break to the outside. Freeman gives them excellent field position.
He's being booed again coming back. That's Steve DeBerg after throwing that interception for a touchdown. But coming up right after our ball game, right here on CBS. Don't go away. This is a good one. We have a better game. Now, I shouldn't say a better one, but another good one coming up. The Bears going against the San Francisco 49ers. That'll be seen except for you fans in Los Angeles, because the Raiders are taking on New Orleans. The other game, Atlanta versus Seattle. DeBerg. Leroy Irvin. Interception. Irvin did a great job then. He was covering Kevin House. He forced House to go out of bounds, which means he cannot make an intercept. He cannot make the reception. And then Leroy Irvin comes up with his second interception of the afternoon.
Irvin may have done a great job, but Steve DeBerg did a terrible job as a quarterback. He had all the time in the world. He pumped 2 or 3 times, and then he just threw a terrible shot to Kevin House when he probably should have thrown it out of bounds. Pumps once, pumps twice, and then brings it down again. And look at how low this ball is. Jim, throw it up and away so only the receiver has a shot. Irvin comes up with another interception.
His second of the afternoon. And now the crowd starting to cheer and chant for the backup quarterback. 1st and 10 for Los Angeles at their own 32-yard line. There's a handoff to Dickerson, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage by Ron Holmes.
And you have to admire the Tampa Bay defense. They refuse to give up. They refuse to quit. They're trying to carry their quarterback, who right now is having a miserable afternoon with 2 interceptions in as many plays. Steve DeBerg.
And the crowd now chanting for Steve Young, who really has been very fidgety and itchy the last 5 or 6 weeks since joining the ball club. But Tampa, with 5 minutes to go, still in the game. 31-27, the Rams leading. Brock back to pass. Throws deep. The pass is complete to Mike Young. Mike Young, the rookie from UCLA. Tackle made by Ivory Sully. Young giving a little, I like that.
Hey, well, they needed that, because if they gave the ball back to the Bucs right away, remember, this game is not out of reach, they'd still have a shot. So this was an important completion for Brock's confidence and for the Rams to keep possession of that ball as the clock runs down. 4.5 minutes left. Not a great throw. Young makes a good catch going down to cuddle that ball.
It was a pickup of 27 yards, or rather 22 yards. And it gives the Rams a first down at the Buccaneer 48-yard line. Lynn Kane joins Dickerson in the backfield. Davis Hill in motion. Handoff to the first man up, which is Kane. Kane picking up 6 or 7 yards before he's tackled by Scott Brantley.
Just a little bit of a change of strategy on the part of the Rams to trying to confuse the Bucs defense. Rather than giving it to Dick, they give it to Kane. He gets some good yardage on first down. Time is an element, Jim. Look at the clock ticking down.
And you wonder about the physical condition of the Buccaneers now, because they're a small defensive unit and the big offensive line for the Rams. This is where they have really wore teams down in the past 5 games. The toss to Dickerson. Not much yardage at all, as the Tampa Bay defense is really swarming to the ball and doing a great job of pursuing. We have some finals in this afternoon. New England defeating Buffalo 14-3. It is Washington over Detroit 24-3. Joe Theismann getting back on track there. Cleveland beating Houston 21-6. And in the fourth quarter, well, they still have a chance, John. 35-23, Cincinnati over the Giants.
Oh, the poor Giants. And look at Pittsburgh here, losing again, Jim. I'm shocked that Pittsburgh has lost this many games in a row.
And Philadelphia big over St. Louis 30-7. The Cardinals finally getting on the scoreboard. 3rd and 3. Oh, the Dickerson hit in the backyard. Great play by David Logan. Logan just took Jackie Slater and stuffed him in the dirt.
Oh, and Logan, you talk about leadership on the Bucs. David Logan is the only leader left on that team with Selman and Green gone. And boy, right here, he just stuffs them. You're right. Stuffs the center, stuffs Ken Hill in the backfield and makes the play. Ooh, gets the ball back for the Bucs. 3 timeouts left. 2 minutes, 16 seconds left.
And Tampa Bay has just called for a timeout. And David Logan, they call him Dr. X.
And take a look at the doctor right up the middle. Quickness. Bingo. He hits the Dick and brings him down for a loss on 3rd and about 4.
Dr. X has been performing some surgery of his own this afternoon. 2 minutes, 16 seconds left to go. And David Logan, who was an All-Pro in 1984. Coming up next, it's the Chicago Bears against the San Francisco 49ers. The Atlanta Falcons going against Seattle. You'll be able to see that game right here on CBS, except in the Los Angeles area, because the Raiders are playing the New Orleans Saints in the Coliseum.
And what a classic matchup. How the power of Chicago with Mike Ditka against the finesse of Bill Walsh with the 49ers.
And if the Rams win this afternoon, then the 49ers really have to win, because if the 49ers get beat by the Bears, then the Rams have a 3-game lead in the NFC's Western Division.
And boy, would John Robinson love that. I'm not so sure that they're going to get beaten, though. Seems to me the Bears are right. They're 5-0. And the Niners have started to pick up after last week's victory over Atlanta.
But, you know, the Niners really haven't played well in Candlestick Park. New Orleans went in there and beat them. Atlanta played them very well out there.
They'd rather be on the road, huh?
Yes. You'll be able to see that game coming up right after our game, except in Los Angeles. Leon Bright back to receive Bill Hatcher's booming high punt. Bright fair catch, but gets away from it. The ball lands at the 11, and the Rams down at about the 5. Doug Smith gets down and downs the ball. It's just inside the 5-yard line, and the Buccaneers, with their backs against the wall, will take over 1st and 10 at their own 5.
You know, there's 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. They're down by 4, so a field goal doesn't help them. They got to go 95 yards for a touchdown against an outstanding defense. And they only have 2 timeouts left, but the 2-minute warning will help them and give them another shot there. DeBerg coming in now, and you just can't help but think about his last 2 passes have both been intercepted. He's completed 14 of 31 for 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Leroy Irvin is having a season against DeBerg. Well, Leroy's made the highlight film this afternoon, that's for sure. Here's DeBerg. Greg Meisner, quick off the snap. The ball is hit right at the line of scrimmage by Meisner. Greg Meisner, who held out for most of the preseason, rather all of the preseason. He and Eric Dickerson came back the week of the first regular season game, and he knocked down the pass then by Steve DeBerg. Now, DeBerg has some weapons. Take a look at it again here. He wants to hit the quick slant to Kevin House. He's taking a quick drop, and he wants to deliver the ball, but the defensive linemen, they're all told, Jim, boy, as you're being blocked, get your hands up, and that's what he does right there and knocks the ball away, Greg Meisner. You know, it's interesting sitting in with the Ram meetings. I was sitting with their defensive unit a couple of days ago, and they know exactly the problems that the offense is having, and they said, we've got to keep going. There's Meisner again. This time he jumps a little bit too soon and gets caught. Meisner give it, and now he take it. Or take it and give it, or whatever. But it was...
Come across and made contact. 5 yards, it's 2nd down.
It was really deja vu for me sitting in on a defensive meeting, having been a defensive player and sitting there and listening to them and their attitude and them talking and saying, we know that our offense is going to do it. It's just a matter of time. They've done it before, but we know that we want to be the best, and right now we're carrying the club. Were you really a defensive player? Some said you weren't. Well, those that I put into the Hall of Fame thank me, yes. Here's DeBerg. He throws into and out of the hands of Gerald Carter. Good defense there by Nolan Cromwell and Jim Collins. That's the 2-minute warning, and we'll be right back. Out on the West Coast, the Bears are leading the San Francisco 49ers 7-0. But, John, a minute 57 to go, 3rd and 5. The most important thing now is just to get the first down. No doubt about it. They have 2 timeouts left. They have 2 plays to make a first down and keep the drive going. Come on, James Wilder, the lone setback for Tampa. DeBerg goes back to pass, throws, and it is long and incomplete. Pass intended for Kevin House. He went the wrong direction. He really did. He had his tight end on the other side of the field wide open. Jimmy Giles was standing around the 15-yard line all by himself. DeBerg looked from the moment he took that snap to where he was throwing, and the Rams read it. Remember, Giles told us yesterday that he's been open a lot. Jim, what is happening? Frank Garcia is coming in to punt. I am shocked. But getting back to the thing with Jimmy Giles, he says that a few years ago, he used to go back and he used to tell the quarterbacks that he's open on a lot of passes. Says, but now he doesn't do it. He lets them see it in the films, which is for him really going into his shell. But here it is, 4th and 5. And the Rams here really want to bear down. Of course, the Buccaneers looking for a great punt from Garcia. Good high punt. Johnny Johnson with a fair catch call, and he does at the 42-yard line. And that's where the Rams will take over 1st and 10 with a minute 45 left to go in our ball game. The Buccaneer fans not happy about that at all. But the Philadelphia fans are very happy with this. The Eagles defeat St. Louis. It's Green Bay over Minnesota. Denver leading Indianapolis 15-10 in the 4th period. Chicago, as we just mentioned, Walter Payton just scored. 4-yard run by Walter Payton. Sweetness, they lead the defending Super Bowl champion 7-0 in the 1st period. Boy, the Rams love to see that, don't they? Oh, my. And I have to question why they kicked the ball there on 4th and 5. With 1:45 left, you're trailing by 4. You have 2 timeouts left. Give the ball to the other team not far from midfield. I have to question the strategy. Now Lynn Kane joins Dickerson in the backfield. The handoff goes to Kane. Up the middle, and this is going to be the strategy for the Rams right now. You can believe that as the Buccaneers call timeout. We'll be back. A minute and 40 to go in our final period. There's no doubt in my mind what's going on with the Rams on the quarterbacks right now, talking to John Robinson. Tell that offensive line to open the holes and let's just hold on to the ball with some power football.
No doubt about it. Use the physical identity that we have. I mean, John Robinson was talking about that. You know, we have an offensive identity. We are big, we are strong, we are physical, and we are tough and can run the ball. The other will come, but he's telling them, hold on to the ball at this point. You're right, Jim.
He is so great at motivating his players, which is really one of his strong points.
And which is a major part of any football. I mean, the talent is so evenly spread across the NFL. If you can get a guy to motivate guys to play up to their potential, bingo, you'll have a winner.
2nd and 1. It's Lynn Kane again. Kane spins out of a tackle and picks up enough yardage for the first down. Tackle made by Chris Washington. And that loud, raucous crowd that we heard less than 5 minutes ago is now down to nothing but just a purr as the Buccaneers take a timeout.
Lehman Bennett, you talk about motivation, certainly had his team ready to play this afternoon. He is yet to see a victory, and the other team coming in undefeated, the Rams. Yet I have to question the strategy of kicking the ball away with 1 minute and 40 seconds left, only 2 timeouts left, giving the other team good field position, especially a power running team like the Rams who can sit on the ball and run the clock out. I thought they'd never see the ball again. They will not see the ball again. They're out of timeouts.
Because we know the offensive weapons that the Rams have. And the things that Robinson are telling Dieter Brock right now, I'm sure he's talking mostly about the handoff. Make sure you get the ball good on the handoff. Make sure that when you hand off the ball that you put it in there firm. Let's don't take any chances. Let's get on the plane and go on back home and hope that the Bears defeat the 49ers.
Exactly. Enjoy it on the way back. And yeah, exactly. Remember last week, the Giants lost on a snap from Senator Dallas Cowboys, but that's not likely to happen here because Doug Smith and Dieter Brock know each other. Even though Brock is a rookie in the league, they've worked all during the preseason and now in the regular season. So that's the key, the handoff and then just hold on to the ball.
Buccaneers now really going to have to tackle the ball, try and strip it away. 1st and 10 for the Rams. Handoff to Lynn Kane. Kane hit as he gets to the 45-yard line. The Rams now will be slow getting up off the ground as a tackle was made by Irvin Randall, trying to run out the clock. 1 minute 15 left.
So John Robinson once again gets by with a less than perfect performance as he'll stay undefeated. And the only other team undefeated in the NFL is the Chicago Bears. They are up next here on CBS against a tough opponent, the 49ers.
Except in Los Angeles, where the Raiders are taking on the New Orleans Saints. But Eric Dickerson has now gone out of the ball game. I think that's it for him for the day as Barry Redden checks in. But one of the things that John Robinson has tried to do with this ball club in his 3 years as head coach is to make them play hard the entire game, whether things are going good or bad for them. And most of the time, things will come out well. Dieter Brock goes down. 35 seconds left to go.
And this one will be history, and this will put extra pressure on the Niners to win because if they lose, as you mentioned, they'll be 3 back very early in the season. That's a tough bulge to overcome.
And that, oh no, you probably just heard the fans out in Candlestick Park saying, the Rams have won again. Now there's really pressure on the San Francisco 49ers to win because if the 49ers lose to the Bears, and the Bears are leading right now, the Rams will have a 3-game lead. And the final score again is the Los Angeles Rams 31, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 27. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this word from your local station.